Hello, I'm the hardcore kid. Hardcore enough to review kid stuff. Ever since movies like High School Musical, Home on the Range, and Beverly Hills Chihuahua came flying out of Disney's money-grubbing hindquarters, Disney themselves have been going on a downhill spiral. Brainwashing little kids with their stupid morals, unfunny jokes, and talentless charisma. In fact, the only thing still intact from this madness is Pixar. They've been around for 15 years, continuing to revolutionize computer-generated imagery and creating amazing movie after amazing movie. Yes, even Cars. But what about computer-generated Disney movies not made by Pixar? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. The first CGI film solely made by Disney was animator Mark Dindal's Chicken Little. Now, I criticized Dindal in my Cats Don't Dance review, but admitted it wasn't a terrible film. His 2005 CGI flick Chicken Little, on the other hand, despite having nice animation and colorful backdrops, ended up suffering from a lame plot, mediocre story, and overall boring premise. The 2006 animated comedy The Wild is the same thing. It's directed by Steve Spaz Williams, a special effects supervisor who worked on such films as Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park. This was his first and so far only film that he's directed, and whoo boy does it show. One of the biggest criticisms of this movie is that it's a ripoff of DreamWorks' Madagascar. And although the movie did go into production before Madagascar, it doesn't hide the fact that it's a total rehash of other animated films. And yet there are actually a lot of people who prefer The Wild over Madagascar because it's a lot funnier and more exciting. But is all the hype true? Well, let's check out this furry fantasia and see if it is. Roll the theme music! The first thing we see as the movie starts up is the good old Disney Castle logo, colored in a sort of jungle theme and... what the F?
A znasz jak ze strachu przede mną jeden goryl puścił pawiana na bambus?
You see? You see? They are trying to kill Disney. They're screwing up the classic Disney Castle logo. Stop your vandalism this instance! Thank you. So the movie starts in the jungle of Newell, where we see a lion talking to his son. And then we get this overly upbeat scene with wildebeest running across the movie title and a deformed lion attacking. Oh gee, Lion King much? Then there's this wildebeest with roid rage who appears with an entire floating wildebeest army behind it and starts surrounding the lion cub and... Wow. 2 minutes into this movie and already my brain is fried. Thanks a lot, Spaz. So these are our protagonists of the movie. Samson, the king of Central Park Zoo. Yes, I know. Voiced by Kiefer Sutherland. His nickname is Samson the Wild, as he is said to have come from far off in the jungle. For now, he shares his habitat in the zoo with his young son Ryan. Now I want you to watch this scene for a little bit and see if you recognize the little cub's voice.
Never gonna learn how to roar here, Dad.
Ryan.
But don't worry, I finally figured out how we can get to the wild.
Only the greatest sci-fi series ever made. For an entire generation of fans, it's not just a TV show, it's a way of life.
Yeah, Ryan is voiced by Greg Sipes, the voice of Beast Boy. Yet another Teen Titans voice actor in another crummy movie. Anyway, Samson's claim to fame is his loud, monstrous roar, which Ryan tries to duplicate, but unrealistically only manages to make a few cat meows. You know, if this whole movie just turns out to be another Lion King knockoff, I'm gonna have it fed to the lions, vomited out, and then eaten again. You know, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on this movie. I mean, it's just started. I'm sure it'll get better, right? Ugh, that was awful. So apparently when the zoo closes and all the people have left, the animals are allowed to leave all their habitats and roam free around the zoo, creating as much havoc and chaos as possible. And surprisingly, there's no night watchman to take care of the zoo while everyone's gone? Sure, why not? Let the animals run around and destroy the zoo. I'm sure their insurance will cover it. The elephant shit, on the other hand, that's another story. Some of the other furry creatures include a street squirrel named Benny, voiced by Jim Belushi, who's best friends with Samson. He has a crush on a giraffe named Bridget, voiced by Gian Garofalo. Forbidden love in this movie is practically an understatement. Other characters include an overhyper snake named Larry, voiced by Richard Kind, and comedian Eddie Izzard supplies the voice of Nigel the koala.
Oh yes, a British koala. That's a first.
Greetings, you bollock furry fans. I just wanted to pause the review for a moment to give you a little lesson on accents in movies. The character in question here is a koala named Nigel. All koalas live in Australia and therefore are of Australian descent. If you have a talking koala in your movie, you should hire an Aussie or someone who knows how to do a proper Aussie accent. But if you hire a cross-dressing dyslexic for the role, you're bound to run into a few snags. 1. His accent and line reading may be completely parked.
Make your bloody mind up.
And number 2, there are a lot of chaps watching this movie who may want to look up the bloke, only to find out the awful truth.
Help us, Captain Transvestite. That child is at Captain Transvestite. Oh, God, it's 20 minutes. Fuck. I look like a bloke.
You have been warned, mates. So after numerous nonsensical scenes and a pointless cameo by Don Cherry as a Cody Maverick clone, we cut back to Ryan still trying to learn to roar, but ends up scaring a herd of gazelles.
Premise movie, why don't you do something that we haven't yet seen in a Disney movie? Like bloody murder.
Sorry.
For what? Chasing the gazelles or costing us the game?
No,
All you do is sit up in your tree and sulk.
If you just
I mean, what is it? What's the problem? Is all this because you can't roar?
I said bloody murder, not bitchy father.
So after being scolded by Samson, Ryan runs away, upset. He then wanders into a container filled with meat, only to find out it's on a lorry bound for the wild. So Samson, Nigel, Bridget, and Larry sneak onto a garbage truck out of the zoo to see if they can get him back. How in Great Gaia they were able to fit a giraffe in that thing is totally beyond me. So the truck heads out of Central Park and into Manhattan, where we get to see an onslaught of shameless product plugs as well as, "You son of a bitch!"
I don't even care if both movies are made by Disney. It may be nice to include maybe a few references and homage to the original movie, but not rip it off in every scene and then all of a sudden just randomly place the logo of the stage show right in the middle of it. It's like a way to say, hey, we're not ripping off Lion King. Honest, see, there's the logo. Well, I'm going to be honest here, spaz. Either come up with some originality or go bugger off to Brinquedo.
So after a close encounter with a pack of dogs, the animals hide out in a sewer where they run into, and I'm not joking here, 2 big-lipped alligators.
Listen up. You gotta get to Battery Park. First you take the Broadway culvert.
Whoa, you send them down the Broadway culvert?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
They get lost at the sewage treatment plant.
Get out of
What are you
here.
talking?
Yo, bada bing, pass the meatballs.
I'm so cuddly, I like you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those things floating down here in the sewer.
So the 2 alligators lead the animals through the sewers and to the docks where Ryan's container is being placed on a cargo ship bound for Africa. So the animals hijack a tugboat and try to catch up with the ship. Only problem? They don't know how to drive it.
One problem down.
Ah! And would you stop it with the close-ups? God, I'm starting to get Messina flashbacks.
But Benny, who was lost earlier on in the film, joins them on their quest after being saved by some Canadian geese.
Expert at intercontinental travel.
Hey, Birdie. Okay, is it true that Canada has lax immigration policies for koalas?
Is it true that Terrence and Philip are actually French?
So the animals follow the geese towards Ryan's ship. And apparently Theodore Tugboat here has a huge gas tank, because they're able to track it all the way to Africa.
Guys, look.
Hey, Hey, they're filming a much better movie right down on the beach. As it turns out, the container was being delivered to a rescue reserve where animals are being transported out of Africa for reasons yet unknown.
It's a tunnel to another dimension.
Samson chases Ryan into the jungle, but loses him again. So the animals split up to find him. Meanwhile, Ryan is wandering around the jungle until he runs into a baby hippo.
You remind me of my buddy back home.
Oh, a bloodthirsty monster!
Where?
Oh, he's a killer! Get away from my baby!
Hey! Calm down, lady!
Anyone save my baby!
Bye-bye.
Oh wow, a hippo trying to crush a lion with her ass. Ha ha ha, how pleasant. And as the movie reaches its halfway point, it's about time that I discuss its most fatal flaw. It's not that the film is a ripoff of Madagascar, and it's not that the animation is punctually bizarre. It's that it's not funny. Honestly, I've been watching this movie for an hour, and I still haven't found any jokes that have left me feeling intrigued. Spaz's style only seems to rely on mild G-rated slapstick and stupid stereotypical characters as gags. Sometimes in movies, it's all in good fun. But here, it just feels mean-spirited, and a lot of the jokes only result in maybe a few chuckles, or no laughs at all. The love interest between Benny and Bridget is similar to Gloria and Melvin in Madagascar 2, but at least that relationship had development. The one in this movie, on the other hand, is just forced out, as if to say, the squirrel is in love with the giraffe. That's the joke. Well, it's not a funny joke. Nigel crashes into things a lot, and at times it's funny, but then after a while, it actually gets really old.
Stop laughing at us, you solar twit!
And Larry seems to have this obsession with shoving his face into the camera, as well as wrapping himself around people's necks to the point where I'm actually hoping he strangles somebody. And this was what was being shown to little kids of today. A series of uneven, unfunny jokes and gags that they can go along with. Well, don't call a lawsuit on me the next time your kid tries to jump crotch first onto a metal fence as a result of this movie's brainwashing. Hey, who knows? Today your kids, tomorrow the world! So is there any sense of a plot in this movie besides looking for Ryan? As a matter of fact, there is. A herd of wildebeest suddenly attack our heroes, and Nigel is kidnapped and sent back to their lair inside a volcano.
Can I use your toilet?
I'm having a really nice day.
My God, even the bad guys are idiots.
They're frighteningly horrible monster beasts.
So Nigel is brought up to the throne where we meet the wildebeest king Kazar, voiced by William Shatner.
Kazar, leader, prophet, choreographer.
You may know me from my roles as Captain Kirk in Star Trek and Buck Murdoch in Airplane 2. So basically, Kazar talks to Nigel about he and the rest of the wildebeest are tired of being hunted as prey and want to change the animal food chain so that prey can be predators, thus running all the other predatory animals out of Africa. They came up with the idea after a stuffed koala bear fell from the heavens. Heavens being an airplane, and saved a fellow wildebeest from several hungry lions.
I'm so cuddly, I like you!
Alright, I'll admit, that was pretty funny. Samson is searching through the trees, using his senses, and by senses I mean everything turns to candy, until he eventually finds Ryan, after he's been cornered by some vultures. Then suddenly, some of the wildebeest show up and start chasing them. But thankfully, they're able to climb a tree and get to safety, totally disregarding lion genetics. It's here that Samson tells his son that he was never actually from the wild, but grew up as a circus lion with his dad, voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. He had the same problem Ryan had as a cub. Whenever he was told to roar at a wildebeest, he would only make meow noises.
I should have known. If you'd been born in the wild, you'd know how to roar.
Dad? Dad!
Well, that's what you get when you have a dad voiced by this. But suddenly, the wildebeest attack and knock Samson off the cliff. Ryan is kidnapped and sent back to the volcano where the other animals have been kidnapped. And now, it seems, it's the end of our heroes. Back in the jungle, Benny finds Samson knocked out, but he eventually comes to. Benny then encourages Samson to use his lion instinct to find his son. Instinct in this case being a bunch of multicolored chameleons. Now I understand the functions of instinct and senses and whatnot, but I don't ever remember senses turning everybody into Leroy Neiman paintings. So using his newfound senses, Samson gets to the volcano and rescues the animals, but now he has to face off against the wildebeest.
Prey has become predator, and predator has become prey, and the hoof finally trumps the claw.
Come on, Dad. Let's show these turkey jerkies who's at the top of the food chain.
Let's eat the brat first.
Over my dead body.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Does this movie actually have balls?
Hell yeah! Lions and wildebeest kicking the shit out of each other? That's what we were looking for in this movie. What the hell took them so long to do so?
Next floor. Bottom of the food chain. Ding!
Oh yeah, that.
So Samson and Kazar fight it out in the middle of the cave, but then the other animals decide to make a catapult to launch Ryan into Kazar.
Don't eat me! I have too much cholesterol!
Samson then unleashes his wild animal self and bellows a large roar, knocking Kazar out as the volcano erupts.
Top of the food chain, Ma! Top of the food chain!
I'm so cuddly, I like you! I'm so cuddly, I like you! I'm so cuddly, I like you!
Uh-oh.
So Kazar is defeated, Ryan finally finds his roar, Benny and Bridget get together, and all the animals have a boat party as they head back to New York. The end. Oh, what now?
What are you doing this for? What do you think, it's funny? Just get up. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry. Hello. Do carry on.
Thank you. This movie sucks!
The animation is distracting, the jokes aren't funny, the plot is stupid and unoriginal, the characters unlikable, and every other element of this movie is just a shameless ripoff of The Lion King, Finding Nemo, and yes, even Madagascar. This is easily one of the worst animated movies I've ever seen, and at this point I always thought Secret of NIMH 2 was the worst. But looking back on it now, it's a movie that's so bad it's hilarious. But this movie is so bad, it's bad. Boring, unoriginal, dribble.
So there, I did it. I finally reviewed The Wild. I'm the only dude around who had the balls to go near this thing, and I'll never go near it again. You shouldn't either. Stay away from this movie, and if you want, go watch the Madagascar movies. Sure, the Madagascar films weren't masterpieces, but you know what? After I watched them, they gave me a fun and sort of happy feeling. All this piece of shit film left me were blurred visions and dirty thoughts. Hey Raven, what dirty thoughts did you get from watching this movie?
Furry creatures.
Truer words never spoken.